Nothing is more important than the banking, real estate, and healthcare industry as economic indicators in our capitalistic society. So they
Sure.
are interconnected, and it's a very important question. Medicare and healthcare is a
Mm.
very important aspect of our lives, and it's related to real estate in one important way. What you may or may not know about healthcare is the cost you pay for your plan is a relationship of where you live and the policyholders there.
Hey guys, it's Merrick Damon. Welcome to another episode of the Merrick Damon Show. Today is a very interesting topic because I have Medicare Mark here with me. And I know you're thinking to yourselves, what does Medicare have to do with real estate? But remember, we created this show so that we can tell you guys all the things that you need to know that are not just in real estate, but that are around real estate, that affect real estate. So thank you guys again for watching all of our episodes. Our numbers are growing. We're very excited about it. As you probably know, we have a podcast now. We also have our YouTube channel. So just stay involved, watch us, see us on Instagram and on Facebook. And we're going to start with Mark. So Mark, how are you?
It's great and a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me,
Oh,
Merrick.
thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited. So, Medicare Mark, and I love that name. Oh my God, it's such a great name. So, Mark, can you please tell my audience who are probably thinking Medicare and real estate, tell them a little bit about yourself, what you do, and we'll get started having a conversation about it.
Well, actually, the question you pose, what does Medicare Mark and healthcare have to do with commercial real estate?
Sure.
And frankly, nothing is more important than the banking, real estate, and healthcare industry as economic indicators in our capitalistic society. So they
Sure.
are interconnected, and it's a very important question. Medicare and healthcare is a very important aspect of our lives, and it's related to real estate in one important way. What you may or may not know about healthcare is the cost you pay for your plan is a relationship of where you live and the policyholders there.
Ooh, almost like your taxes, right?
Yes.
Exactly. You need to know where you live because taxes are important and you got to think about all your costs.
Absolutely. And we entered the field of healthcare. We've been in commercial real estate over 45 years in
Wow.
commercial real estate. We've been advisors, both commercial and also we handled during the resolution trust era.
Sure.
We handled the disposition of failed assets that savings and loans acquired through that period.
For sure.
Fast forwarding to the last decade, the rebound has been very good in commercial and residential real estate. And healthcare is the topic that everybody's talking about
Everyone.
politically as well as it affects your lives.
Sure.
And healthcare is an industry that is very misunderstood.
Sure. It's a lot of it. And, and to talk about it with our audience, because you're right, when people go out to buy homes and they actually think about not only just themselves, but their parents, you're always talking about cost. How much is going to cost for my house? How much is going to cost for my house insurance? But if you're taking health insurance like me, you guys all know I do a show. I have a real estate company. I pay for my own health care. I have to consider all of my costs in terms of everything that I do. So when someone's looking for purchasing real estate, they have to think about all these things as well. So what type of clients do you typically see on a daily basis in terms of healthcare and maybe even commercial real estate that come in, and what are their expectations, I think, and what are their thoughts about it?
Well, if I can for a moment to digress and kind of look at it from a broader perspective of what is healthcare. Healthcare is not only for seniors, but for non-seniors like yourself.
Sure.
And what you're experiencing is healthcare costs today are just skyrocketing, and everybody's talking about it politically. They haven't figured out
No.
a solution. So the basics of the Obamacare area
Sure.
was that everybody would have to participate. The younger people would contribute
Right.
by law in order to keep the costs down. But a lot of the younger people just said, that's not a great deal, forcing me in to do that.
Right.
So as we continue to debate that, on the other side of the equation are the seniors.
Right.
As they age into retirement years, it's very stressful, confusing to understand what their options are because healthcare is a complicated subject.
Right.
What we did at the senior healthcare team is we spent almost 2 years, Merrick, to do focus groups with seniors going through this to understand what's the most challenging part about this process.
Right.
We know it's confusing, burdensome, and stressful. So we held focus groups. We learned three important things.
Tell me what are.
One, most seniors and most non-seniors don't do their homework early enough in order to make an informed, wise decision. Everybody wants to make a wise decision,
Right.
but no one has the tools to do that.
Sure.
Okay. Number two, a lot of people rely on friends and family. Well, as much as they're loving and want you to have the best, they're not skilled, experienced, and trained in the field of what the universe of options are for you.
Sure.
And then lastly, the third most common mistake is they work with a captive or lazy agent that only represents one or two carriers, and is pushing usually their product, and usually their high-priced product, because a lot of the agents in the industry get paid based upon a commission, based upon the premiums that you pay. So now you, for example, you have health care. And you pay a monthly premium for some types of benefits.
Sure.
So
we haven't even gotten to that part,
we haven't even got to that part yet.
It's scary.
So it is very scary. And the biggest concern that most people have is you wake up one day and you're diagnosed with a problem and it's not covered by your plan. So what we determined was we wanted to be uniquely different, Merrick. We wanted to be based upon education, education, education. Because most folks, if presented with the information, they can digest it, they can decide what's best for them, they can decide what fits their budget.
It's confusing, Mark. It really is. And to go on to that point, because I can talk about this personally, I have a little anxiety every time I turn on the news and I hear some situation about the courts just decided that the marketplace isn't valid, or the courts decided that Obamacare can be ruled out. If I'm a person in pretty decent health and I get anxiety about it, I can only imagine what my audience and the general public get whenever they hear some news flashing across the screen that Obamacare has been reversed.
You're giving me the chills, because this is the experience I go through every day talking to seniors who are scared out there. And so I want to address that. I want to address a little bit about so that your listening audience can understand what is health care, what is insurance, what's covered, what's not, what should I focus on, how do I learn,
and how do I live without panicking? Every day, there's news every day about some federal judge who struck down this, or the Justice Department doing this under the new administration. It's really sickening, and it's incredible.
Let's address your senior audience first, and then we're going to come to the non-seniors. Because I am a senior.
I got you. Okay, let's go to you first.
Okay, number one, Medicare is not going to be touched. Okay, there are a lot of people that are fearful that Medicare is going to be touched. Number one, if you're on it, you've already got a contract for life.
Got it.
You're not going anywhere. And what other people need to understand is that Medicare is a national federal health care program started in 1965. It's been on the books for a long time. Okay, but Medicare is not free. A lot of people think that I've lived my whole life and I paid into the system, so it's free. It's not free, but it's a public-private partnership. The federal program covers 80% of your coverage. You're responsible for 20. That's where the private market comes in. So you have paid all of your life into the system, and that money is sitting in Social Security. You're going to get back your money once you start drawing your benefits at age 62, 65, or whenever you choose to do that. So a portion of your benefits are going to go towards this federal program. That's the easy part. The hard part is how do you figure the gap in coverage, what's not coverage? And that's what you're worried about yourself as a non-senior, the same issue. You pay a monthly amount. You either have full coverage
or partial,
or less than full coverage.
Although you can think it's full, but
Exactly. And that's the education that people don't understand. They don't know what they have. And so really there's some tools. We created an educational video that I'd like to suggest that your listening audience can go to it anytime.
And we'll share it with everybody in the audience. Okay, so we'll put it on our site so everybody can.
Well, it's easy to remember. I'm Medicare Mark. So if they go to MedicareMark.org, they'll go right to the video.
MedicareMark.org, everyone. Go to that site.
It's that simple. And what they're going to learn is this. And whether you're a senior or a non-senior, this is a great video because you want to understand what are the parts of Medicare, or what is the parts of your coverage?
Sure.
What's the gap in coverage, Merrick? What
Right.
isn't? Because you get concerned, you wake up and you don't know if you're covered or not. Do you need a referral from, your doctor to go to a specialist? Do I have a deductible?
Sure.
Because what a deductible is, Merrick, means that it comes out of your pocket
Right.
before the plan pays anything.
Exactly.
That's a deductible.
Right.
A copayment is when you go to a doctor or a specialist, you have to pay $20 or $30 for the
Sure.
privilege of seeing them. Coinsurance is where you're splitting, is in Medicare, 80% covered by the federal government, 20% you. So you have to
Sure.
figure out what's the best way to cover your responsibility.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of us, we're concerned. That was very good. So thank you so much, Mark. A lot of us are concerned that there's so many people in our political climate who don't like the Obamacare, or what do we call it, the mandated care act. Can you explain the political argument, maybe possibly a little bit, why people don't want that law to exist? Is it
Yeah.
because they have a better solution? Is it because what most people feel, and I'm talking really honest to my audience here, that people think that people are taking advantage of the system and there's this whole private sector that just wants money? Is it just as confusing as all that?
I feel your pain, and yes, it is. And let me share with you my own personal opinions. And it's not political.
Got it.
I am a registered independent.
Sure.
I dislike both sides.
Got it.
Okay. I think that both of them are doing things politically to solve their own base
Sure.
and not solving the American problem.
Right.
Okay. And it's sad to me to watch this. Okay. But that said, we have not yet figured out the answer, and I have a feeling it's coming sooner rather than later because the experiment hasn't been very good. We have a lot of people who have insurance but not coverage. What do I mean by that? That means you have a policy that doesn't go into effect until you may have a $3,000, $5,000, $6,000 deductible.
Right.
So what you're paying a lower premium with a high deductible, so all your problems you got to pay out of pocket until
Sure.
you meet that deductible.
Wow.
So that's an issue. I think that a solution, a non-political solution, would be, why are we restricted to choosing our healthcare provider by only those in the state? There
Right.
might be a carrier in another state
They
that
can
can
do a better job.
offer. Yeah, exactly. So more choice. I
Right.
think we want flexibility, freedom of choice,
Sure.
and I think the private market can do a better job than the government.
Sure.
Because every time I see the government get involved, there's layers and layers of regulations, bureaucratic things that drive up costs, and healthcare costs by themselves rise every day.
Yeah, and it's so funny because you see all these other countries that do it and seem to manage it okay. We haven't been able to come up with an American solution to the problem. And maybe it's an ongoing thing that changes over time, but we struggle with this problem, and probably it's not just something that goes back to Obama, it goes back decades. And
Yes.
it's just one of those things that we haven't been able to repair or fix or do well for some reason.
And you being so directly involved in the real estate community, you understand what costs are, and you understand the importance of running deficits. And what
Right.
we've been doing in this country
Sure.
is we're now up to $22 trillion in a deficit.
Sure.
And the kinds of things that are adding to the deficit is our healthcare. For example, okay, you think about this: the federal government is going to charge a senior $135 a month, and they're going to pay for 80% of all their hospital and all of their non-hospital costs. So that's really a great deal. It's such a great deal that the government is $22 trillion in debt. Okay.
And how do you solve that in
And how
Florida
do you-
when we're a retirement community?
Yeah,
It's very
yes,
difficult
yes.
to address that issue politically.
And the older I get, the more questions I have and the less answers I have. But unfortunately, someone's going to have to solve this problem.
Right.
I think competition across state lines is definitely a great one. I think that the federal government could do a better job of negotiating pharmaceutical costs, because there are many countries that pay less for their drugs,
In the United
prescription.
States?
Yes. And I think a lot of that is the lobbying groups in
Yeah.
Washington that don't, that want to take advantage of our wealth, the great wealth that we have in this country.
Sure.
So why are we as citizens of this great wealthy country paying more than other countries for the same pharmaceutical drugs? That I can't figure out.
Well, I've traveled a lot, and I know you're so right. It's so easy to walk into another country somewhere, Brazil, Dominican Republic, and you get the same drugs that we have here
Yeah,
for so
for a
much
fraction of the
less.
cost.
And I'm not quite sure why that's the case.
But
Well,
the
other
good
than
news is,
free markets.
the good news is, the last 2 years, our administration has been negotiating down the drugs. So I can tell you
that things are
and
moving.
yes, I can tell you that the drug costs in 2017 were very high. In 2018, last year, they dropped, and this year's even dropped more. So it's happening.
Well, I think we can all agree that that's a really good thing. So let's talk a little bit about your commercial real estate experience.
Okay.
You say you guys have been doing commercial business. I do commercial, but mostly residential work. So let's talk about some of the deals you've done here in South Florida in terms of commercial real estate. What are you guys doing, and what do you think about our commercial real estate market now?
Well, simply stated, Florida is the state to be in. Florida,
Yeah.
Texas, the non-taxing states
Sure.
is driving a lot of the business leaders to come here, and the skilled and non-skilled labor that you need
Right.
are coming to Florida. So the arrow is definitely pointing north. It's very good for South Florida. Commercial real estate is thriving in all sectors.
Sure.
We are at the end of a very long 10+ year run of good news. So I don't know how much longer.
I think we're all a little, we have a little
anxious.
anxiety.
Yes, a little
Yes.
agita going on.
There's a lot of agita going
Yeah,
on
there
because
really is.
we're all nervous about where is this market going now?
Yes.
Are we up again against the balloon? We're all feeling the pressures
Yes.
and the anxiety here, the commercial and the residential part. How high can our prices go? It's a big problem for us. I live, as you guys all know that watch my show, I live downtown Miami. I love being downtown Miami, but we are an exceeding market. We're really above our cost of living.
Absolutely.
And we're really, and most of Florida is, experiencing, at least South Florida, I can talk about affordable housing issues because people can't afford to live in our wonderful state, South Florida. So it's really an interesting thing. And I'm not sure how our dynamics are going to play, but I'm going to keep talking about it.
As you should.
And I want to keep sharing with my audience so you guys know. And I think our last few shows had to do with affordability here in South Florida and, climate change, all the issues that we're dealing with here that are interesting.
Give you a little bit of perspective because I came out of real estate and economics school, University of Illinois in the 70s, and came through like 3 major cycles. Been in the commercial real estate business, owned and operated a national real estate auctioneering firm, and did the disposition of failed assets throughout the years, and created the seal bid sale. Notable transactions locally would be the first regional mall in Broward, which is now known as the Pompano City Mall.
The Pompano City
I managed
Mall.
that
Yes.
sale.
Awesome.
I conducted the
You guys up in Pompano, check that out.
Yeah.
This guy's familiar with it.
In Deerfield, I managed the sale of the 74-acre Deerfield Country Club to Malcolm Butters. And it's now called the Hillsborough Technology Center, 1 million square feet. It's just, he's a great, great developer, Malcolm Butters, and a great human being. The 2 Georges at the Cove in Deerfield Beach on Hillsborough, we managed the sale of that to Steve Skaggs, the owner, who's another wonderful guy. So we've had our touch and flair in the commercial real estate business. My son Dave, who's the president of Lastman Property Group and also the president of the senior healthcare team, our Medicare group, he wanted to contribute something back, and that's my purpose in Dharma now, is making certain that seniors get everything you're entitled to with this thing called Medicare, because a lot of folks it's confusing, it's stressful, Merrick, and
stressful.
They work their entire lives, so they ought to get everything they're entitled to. So our goal is to bring education, guidance, and to help them get what they're entitled to.
Well, we share the same goal because that's the goal of my show. I think this is wonderful, Mike. Man, I'm so excited to hear what you had to say and what you have to bring. I know I have to wrap it up now because we can't go on forever.
I might suggest for those folks that would like to come, we are putting on a lunch and learn with PNC Bank as
wonderful.
the moderator, and Blade financial or estate planners, and you talk about banking and healthcare. We have a lunch and learn 11:30 to 1. It's in Boca. If they go to Medicare
Mark.org.
mark.org, they can
Medicare
get
Mark.
their
Is it
number.
MARK?
Yes, it is.
It's M-
Thank you for
okay.
saying that.
You
It would
gotta say.
make my mother very unhappy if she thought someone spelled Mark with a C.
See.
So it's medicaremark.org, and you go right inside our website at the senior healthcare team. You can click the testimonials to see what it's like to work with us. But more importantly, watch the first video and you'll see Medicare Dave will walk them through the parts of Medicare, the gap in coverage, what plans there are to cover the gap, and what the costs are. And I thank you so much for
Well,
today.
you guys as the audience, as we've said here before on the show, healthcare affects everything. Everything. Every decision you make is affected by healthcare, either in the beginning or at some point along the way. So this has been a wonderful show. I can't thank you enough, Mark. I want to have you back to talk more and to help us ease our anxieties about healthcare as things are changing. So, and everyone out there is nervous, and this is a great way to solve that. So, check Mark out at MedicareMark.com or Mark Medicare. What is it? How do you spell it?
MedicareMark.org.
And that is MARK, Mark. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. So, thank you so much. Please check us out, as you guys know, on our YouTube channel, our Instagram, our Facebook. Join us, subscribe, get this message out, guys. This is an important, really, really helpful show, this one. All right. Thanks, guys.